NISCA Meeting 1 will come to order. Welcome to the 90th annual meeting, and I want to thank Eve, Tom, Margetto, and Diane for organizing the conference. We definitely want to welcome our new attendees, Nick Hayden from Wisconsin, Natalie Jones from Wisconsin, and Darren Millar from Michigan. Yes, the Midwest is well represented. The Secretary has put minutes on the website from last March's meeting under the conference tab. I know many of you reviewed those. And do we have any corrections to the conference minutes from last year as they are posted? Do we have a motion to accept the 2022 meetings?
Seconded.
Mark Onstad moved and Arvo McElroy seconded. The next order of business is the State of NISCA report. And from my perspective, and from a number of perspectives, I think NISCA is in very good shape. We've strengthened our leadership team in the last year with several outstanding coaches that I've got great confidence in, that they will excel in their positions. I'll just go through who those are. Kevin Pierce has taken over for Greg Anderson on coaches education. Kevin is from Pennsylvania and he's got an active presence on our Facebook page. Brad Jones is our membership chair from Michigan. Tony Plummer is from San Antonio and he took over for Cindy Dell as the Hour of Power chair, and Tony has a great deal of experience running the Hour of Power. Michael McHugh has taken over the PowerPoint National Dual Meet position from Matt Stewart. Michael is from, this is Diane. Well, I don't think, do we need this, Eve?
No, probably not.
Okay. So it's been a month since my season ended. I think my voice has recovered and it won't crack. But Keeler Callahan took over from Jim Starrett as our Zone 2 director. And Keeler came to us as Jim's recommendation to replace him. Kyle Bedelov and Sean Weimer are 1 year into their roles as Archives and Records Chair and as the Water Polo Chair, and it has been a smooth transition for both of those. Dana's journals continue to just be really, really good with a lot of outstanding contributors. And Tom Hudson transitioned in the role for Professional Awards Chair with Tamara Bretting assisting him and taking over the David H. Robertson Award. It's the time again where we need to update the NISCA PowerPoints, and Bob Clapthor worked with us throughout this last year to update those. He involved myself and Michael McHugh in the process and shared with us the method he's using to update those. We kind of understand it, and we've got it written down. Hopefully that relationship continues to be one that we maintain with Bob, because Bob is outstanding at doing everything for high school swimming with mythical national championships, and he's such a valuable resource. So we definitely want to maintain that strong relationship. We continue to have a strong relationship with ASCA. Our meetings with Jennifer Lamont have been positive. She's treated us very, very well when we go to the ASCA clinic. And I think she knows that the ASCA and NISCA relationship is an important one for both of our organizations. In terms of financial footing, we are in very good standing thanks to Tom's leadership and his diligence with our books. So thank you, Tom, for that. And I do believe, based on the number of applications that we've gotten for the All-America program, that the All-America program has returned to pre-pandemic levels. The last couple of years, it's been a little iffy on the number of applications we've got for the distance races, and those right now are on par with what they used to be. Our chairs with Marnie, Don, Mark Onsad, Mark Jetto, that's all down to a science, so that program runs very, very smoothly. It does appear that the international program is no longer something that we are pursuing. Our contact over in Asia is really not in the same position he has been in. So in terms of the conference, we see the conference numbers are low. We do have ideas for improving that. And we have done a great job recognizing athletes. We've done a great job recognizing them with our All-American and our academic programs, and recognizing record setters. And we've been doing an outstanding job recognizing the coaches at this conference. I do believe this is an area that we can improve on, and there have been suggestions on increasing the recognition we have for coaches with other recognition programs that we would develop. We provide leadership to the National Federation with rules between Don Mason and Peter Hugo and Diane Hicks Hughes leading the backstroke ledge proposal. We've got a very good relationship with the Federation. I know that at the end of this meeting, I'm looking forward to passing the baton on to Mark Jetto, and I believe that's going to strengthen our leadership here. I do feel that the time I've spent in this position has been one of a lot of learning with a lot of support, and I look at everyone in this room as being real leaders and mentors for myself and for the coaches that you have. So I do feel that the benefits of my involvement with NISCA have been great. So I feel like the benefit of other coaches across the country who come in contact with you is also great. And I believe that we are in a very good spot moving forward. So that concludes my State of the NISCA report. And I am going to move on with our reports of officers. I'm going to try to have these paired up if someone has two different roles. So the first report will be Audit Committee with Mark Onstat.
The Audit Committee met yesterday morning, excuse me. It consisted of Dana Abbott, Arvel McElroy, myself. Also present was Tim Serois as president, Mark Jetto as incoming president-elect, and Diane Hicks Hughes was there because we weren't sure Dana was going to make it. So Diane was kind enough to sit in as well. Of course, we met with Tom, our treasurer, and we got the report that Hutto and Preston and Associates, our CPA firm, examined NISCA's books and found them to be in good order. Tom will give a better report on the actual treasurer's report. So, and Tom is retiring after 30 years, as many of you, of course, know. Tom took the job as treasurer 30 years ago, 1993, when I was just a wee boy in Houston, Texas. And he has done a tremendous job I mean, I don't think any of us can really even comprehend the jobs he's done. Tom was told by the outgoing treasurer that he should not pay any bills over the summer of 1993 because there was no money. And that he needed to wait until membership money came in to pay bills. We do not have that problem now. We have, again, Tom will give the report, but we are on solid ground. Tom helped us navigate the last, 3 years, I guess, with the pandemic and lower income. He helped us navigate the loss of our major sponsor, swimming suits. And he's just done a tremendous, tremendous job. He is probably what you don't also realize is that in 30 years, Tom has been on the executive board for that 30 years. So the one rock and foundation that has been there through 15 presidents, granted, some of those presidents were president more than once, but still 15 terms of president. And Tom was the guy who was always there. And I've sat around the table with him, and you can always count on Tom to have just incredibly insightful comments and ideas. And nobody tells a story like Tom. He's the only guy I know who has stayed in the White House, and several other things that he's done that are just amazing. He is staying on at the behest of our current president as convention chair. So Tom is not going away. He is just stepping back and only doing one job. Does anybody have any questions? Again, Tom will give a more in detail money report, but the audit committee found everything to be very good. And I'm going to do All American Shares.
Yes.
Okay.
Does he need a microphone?
I was going to say, you're a month out of your meet. I'm 9 years. I got to find the All American Shares. We met yesterday morning as well. We had in attendance Tim Siros, boys swim, Mark Jedow, girls swim, Don Mason, diving, Marnie Shirley, academic and scholar team, myself. We also had Eve there taking notes, which I wish she would have given me. Dick Farnsworth, who of course works extensively with our website, and our website obviously is critical to our All-American program. And then Sean Weimer, who's our year in, he's on our second year. Water polo chair was not there, but he was in season in Illinois. And he is working with our region reps. In water polo, the way it works is the region reps, deal with things and send it on to Sean. So it's really important that they are on board and know what's going on. We're online only for a couple of years there, but everything is smooth as Tim indicated. We did have some email issues with Marnie's email, and I believe we got those straightened out. And Eve is going to do some other things to help all of our emails on the All-American. Diving this year, for the first time, was accepting documents online. I believe they go into a Google Doc. I don't have to deal with that. I'm not a fan of Google Docs, but according to Don, it's working fairly well, and I think they're going to get the kinks worked out of that. So the next would be academic. And as anybody who's put in an academic application, there's paperwork involved. And if we can get that online and streamline that, that will be very helpful. Other than that, the All-American programs, which started online with diving, Don was our guinea pig back in 2007, 6, 7. And of course, Dick Farnsworth, Jane Farnsworth, Eve Farnsworth, sorry, you got married. They have been critical in our All-American program moving online. Everything's online now for All-American. And, it gets better every year. And so we're just couldn't be happier with that. We are having an All-American open meeting later this afternoon. And but does anybody have any questions now? If you have any comments or suggestions or anything, come to the meeting this afternoon and we will discuss them. Thank you.
Okay, next up, if Tom could come up for our treasurer report.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to be the steward of your finances at this organization. Like I said, Rich Hood was president of the organization, and he asked me if I'd consider becoming the treasurer. And I know my first remark to him was that I'm not a mathematician, I'm not a financial guy, but the one thing that I thought was very important was that I was an honest guy and that I would take care of the books as professionally as I could. And a story about Walt Olszewski was the treasurer before me, and he took over when there was some difficulty with the finances, and Walt did an amazing job in creating a 503c something, whatever it's called, us becoming a not-for-profit organization. Now that has its handicaps. It's certainly beneficial, but from that point on, we have been able to grow our financial status. Okay, we went from really nothing in the treasury to right now $285,259, and my eyesight's going, and 35 cents. So you could see that we are in good financial state. Okay. In the years past, we had a sponsor, and I was privileged to be part of the group that talked with Speedo in the beginning, and I was kind of like a maverick, I would say, in that the people on the committee were thinking in terms of 10,000, maybe 15,000 as a sponsorship. And when we met, and the guy from Speedo said, "What do you think?" And I said 50,000, and everybody looked at me like I had rocks in my head, and I probably did. But we did get 50,000, and that was the start of a good, solid performance. The other thing that really changed the scope of our bottom line is that years ago, other organizations, the Hall of Fame, and others were taking care of our All-America program. When I became treasurer, I thought it would be beneficial if we took care of our All-America program, which has become the backbone of our financial stability. So once again, it was a plus for us. And we've been able to maneuver and offer many programs. And when you offer programs, they come with a financial tab to it. So I'm glad to say that we've managed to establish ourselves rather well, and I hope that continues. I gave you that report. We have a CD that will expire, and we'll continue with that. That was another one of the first things that I wanted to establish, and it was my idea that we need to have enough money in our treasury on a retainer, so to speak, to cover us for 1 year if something drastic happened. And we were able to put money into a CD, and I was investing CDs when they were a lot more profitable than they are now. But they're now starting to go on an upswing. And I would always go to a 5-year CD. Now, I was also fortunate that I lived in a community where a lot of people knew me, and the bank we were dealing with, the director of the bank's sister was a swimmer of mine back in the early 1960s. So when we looked at CDs and tried to put ourselves in a good position, with his help, they always managed to give us the best rate possible. And we've continued for 30 years at the bank of the community bank in Bayonne. And when we had the problem with Speedo, and we were faced with a loss of $50,000, we needed to supplement that within our organization. And luckily, I went to the president of the bank, and there's penalties for taking money out of your CD until it expires. He was gracious enough to say, "Tom, you're a good guy. Everybody loves you. There'll be no penalty." So it's kind of worked out for us. I turned 80 in January, and I think it's time for me to give up. My health is good, but not so good. So I want to just say I appreciate your 30 years of support in what I have done. Any questions? And I'm not going away.
Next up will be membership. If we could have Brad Jones come on up.
Where's that here?
No, he's right there. He's the greatest one.
Good morning. Membership for us right now, we are sitting at over 1,000 members here domestically. International, we have just one right now. So membership is at 1031. I'm not sure how that compares to years past. Obviously, a little busier now in All-American season. Things have been coming in pretty steady. For membership right now, we still have most, I would say 90% of our memberships are done digitally through the webpage. We still have a few members that are holding on to the papers and stamps. We're looking at just trying to make that process a little bit easier, but everything else is going very smoothly. So that's really all I have for membership right now.
Thanks, Brad. Next up will be diving with Don Neeson.
Our committee met yesterday, and as usual, we talked about rules, but it's interesting to see as everything's changed over the time. I remember putting my All-American hat on, I remember times when I'd get applications in right around the deadline, and it cost you $20 just to make the deadline. So with Dick's ingenuity, there is a zero postage on our applications. So it's a real step forward. It's probably one that we should have done a few years ago, but it will have a big impact. So instead of having whatever the cost is for the applications and then postage, it is significantly more or less difficult for people to get it, and I think that everybody will appreciate that. The one thing I need to remind everybody is that every diving application costs money. With our swimming membership, we say that Swimming All-American is free. And swimming coaches continually think that that means that they don't have to pay for a diving application as well. Just remember that we're bringing in people from all over the country, and it costs quite a bit of money to put together our committee. So there is a cost with all the diving applications, even if it's the $15 if you're a member. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is that in this day and age when getting sponsors is difficult, for the second year in a row, we have a new sponsor. And I hope I'm not stealing your thunder there, Arvel. Last year, Duraflex came on to help with our committee, and still looking for a banner. But at some point, we will get a Duraflex banner. And this year, eDive or Clean Entries came on as a sponsor. So we're starting to go back and get our sponsors, and we're really appreciative. But that's all I have right now. Any questions?
Thank you, Dan. So Mark Onstadt mentioned Sean Weimer with water polo. Sean sent in a report because he is in season. From Sean, he said, we're in a good place with water polo. Right now it's just Florida, Illinois, Michigan girls still in season, and others should be wrapping up. He mentioned some issues with California, Southern California, on the girls' side, that he's getting help on the boys' side with contacts, but he does believe that everything is working well. We know it's been a smooth transition for us in the All-American side with Sean, and they seem to be getting applications being ahead of last year. And I do know from Tom that water polo applications seem to be up, so the money's coming in more than in the past. So that's a good sign. And as far as the hour of power, having Tony Plummer from San Antonio just take over, that is, he hasn't had much time in the role. He's had about a month. We do appreciate the work that Cindy Dell did, but I know Tony's got some great ideas for moving us forward with that hour of power. And with that said, we'd like Mark Jetto to come up and give his own director report.
All right, good morning, everybody. Zone directors, we met on Sunday evening via Zoom. In attendance was myself, Andy Cunningham from Zone 5, Ron LeBlanc from Zone 7, and I'm also the Zone 6 director. Eve was also present, helping us with notes and making sure our Zoom was working. We had a couple let me know beforehand that they couldn't attend the Zoom due to either, mostly from travel reasons, they were still on the road, getting into town. One of the things that we went over, we looked at how well the SMORE newsletter is working. Those seem to be going out okay. Several of the zone directors didn't realize that they needed to also include the rest of the executive board and everybody on the list. And so I've now added a share in the SMORE folder for them to be able to connect and link everybody to. All they have to do is, when they get ready to send these, they'll have to include the rest of the executive board. Everybody, all 34 positions will get a copy of their zone newsletters. We talked about the state directors. Are they functioning? Do we need some tweaks in their communication? For my zone, they seem to be working well. For Andy's, they work well. And for Ron, he seems to be getting some feedback from his zone directors, state directors, when he sends that information. One of the things that became apparent that we wanted to talk about is we're thinking about where we wanted to be down in the future with the zone and the needs of the organization, association, what the zone director should be doing. Currently, we try and get out 4 newsletters. And even for myself, I'm finding it difficult to get 4 newsletters out. So we're looking at trying to set up a block window of, there's going to be a time frame that we want the zone directors to get at least 3 out per year. And we're going to post a window opportunity and reminder out for them to, this is your window for putting together information, getting that information out to the membership. And they're kind of like targeted right around the start of the school year, mid-season for whenever, whether we have one wrapping up for submitting applications to the start of the next season, for winter season from some sports. And we think it's going to tweak it a little bit better. One of the other things that we talked about was finding ways for connecting our coaches. We all agreed from our discussions, even in our open meetings, that connecting coaches to the organization is important. And so one of the things that we want to do as zone directors is making sure that we're recognizing the coaches in our zone for their state championships. So I've put together a state championship Google form, which all the zone directors now have a link to, where they can put in the information for their state championship teams. We'll be able to have all that data not only for our zone directors to recognize in their newsletters, but we'll also be able to get that stuff to Dana to include in the journal as well, and maybe put the list up on the website. From the zone point of view, everybody was talking about, we do a great job of recognizing the kids, but we need to find a way to also keep recognizing our coaches. And that is where we're at for our zones right now. Any questions? All right, thank you. End of my report.
Thank you, Mark. Tom Hudson will now give an update on the professional awards.
So this was my first year as the professional awards chair, big learning curve and trying to do the best that I can. I have a wonderful committee that we met with yesterday. I would like to start by encouraging everyone to go back and get people to fill out resumes, update their resumes if they have an existing one in the system. We're working through some problems with the resume system as a whole, and hoping to resolve many of those in the upcoming year. I would like to introduce our new David H. Robertson Awards Chair. This is Tamara Bredding in the back there. She was my longtime assistant coach at Laramie High School, has replaced me as the head coach at Laramie High School. I just recently retired, and is the only reason I'm able to serve in this position, because she is invaluable as my assistant now as awards chair. So we met yesterday. These are the Outstanding Service Award winners for next year. Tim Saroy from Illinois, congratulations. Greg Phil from Michigan. Dave, and I'm going to butcher this last name, Zulkeski from Michigan as well. Corky King from Illinois, and Judy Story from Oregon. Our collegiate scholastic award winners, and 2 of them are in the room now. Don Mason of Michigan and Peter Hugo from New York. Hall of Fame award winner next year will be Roy Snyder of Pennsylvania, who coached over 60 years and is still coaching. So we're happy to give him an award. And very pleased to announce our new life member as Mark Onstock from Illinois. Congratulations. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next for our rules report is Peter Hugo, and after Peter, we'll look for Greg to give us an update on the NISCA story.
Morning. We met yesterday, and then we have another meeting this afternoon, and I just found this out, but could we move that meeting from 2:30 to 4 to 3 to 4? I don't think we'll have a problem with the time, but I have something that just came up and I have to handle at 2:30. Okay, that's great. So we'll meet today at 3 o'clock here. I'd like to thank Sandy Cersei. She's not in the room yet, but she will be. She is, without a doubt, one of our biggest supporters. You need something, Sandy's available for you. She's a people person, and she'll never, if you call her, she'll answer and she'll talk to you. I sent out a survey the other day, and again, thanks to Eve. Eve's from Right Hand Person for this, because I don't send them out. Well, I don't have the lists, but Eve quickly, the turnaround is quick. I gave it to her, and then in a half an hour, it was up on the board. We had about 500 the first day, which is amazing. We haven't had as many as we've had in the past, and I do apologize for those that are that saw the difference between this year's and last year's. I forgot when I formatted it to put in a little comment box. So there were no comments this year, which might have been a good thing, because some of the comments you get are crazy. But anyway, so we've got a great response from that survey. Sandy relies heavily on what this association says. We are the only association in all of the National Federation of Sports that has a representative from the Coaches Association on their committee. It's amazing that we are the only sport. Today at 3 o'clock, we'll talk to the rules. We'll go over the most important ones. Thank God we got Don Mason in the room because, well, first of all, he's the most critical person in diving in America as far as I'm concerned. He works his tail off trying to make diving better for the kids. He'll be here later to help introduce some other rules, and we thank Don for that. Okay, other than that, that's basically it. Does anybody have any questions? You've got the rules. I mean, they're out there. The big one is the ledge, I think. And then I'm not going to say anything else about diving because I don't want to give it a canary. Any questions? Right.
Thank you, Peter. So Greg Anderson, we'll talk about the NISCA store, and I do want to acknowledge that Greg indicated this year he would be looking to give the coaches education position over, and we were fortunate to have Kevin Pierce, but we definitely appreciate all you've done over the years with coaches education and helping us with one of the critical missions for NISCA.
Thank you. The NISCA store has been active. This year, but most of the stuff that what?
The camera.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Most of this stuff that I do, it comes from membership. So I want to thank Brad and Tom, because when a coach applies for membership, they get an opportunity to buy some books. And so that's most of the stuff that I actually sell. This year we had 57 of the Eddie Reese books, and I have a couple available here if you want to buy one, and Dana will autograph it because he's one of the authors. We also sold with 2 new books that came out, the Swimming Coach's Guide and the Biology of Swimming, which are 2 excellent books. I haven't put them in the store yet, but they're offered to the coaches when they apply for membership. I had a flood in my basement and I was moving some stuff and I found 12 copies of the Freeze Sprinting 2 books, which I thought I had sold out of. But I have a couple of those available. They're not being published anymore, and they've been very popular. We sold about 50 to 75 certificates. We didn't sell any of the journals this year. That's totally online. But it's been one thing I want to say is in 2020, I got the Hall of Fame award, and I didn't get it. I didn't get to be presented, but I just wanted to thank the committee and NISCA for giving me that honor. I never got to do that, but that's all I have. Do you have any questions? Thank you. Oh, and there's still free stuff.
Okay, thank you, Greg. At this time, Dana Abbott will give a report on the NISCA Journal.
You want me to roll the other two positions in there also?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. Nice to see you awake. I'm involved with 3 different programs on letterhead, journal, constitution, and international programs, and I'll try to bring you up to speed on all of that. Briefly, the Constitution report, we have an amendment proposal to add a media award to professional awards program. It has been published in accordance with the rules for Constitution bylaw amendments. It is published in the last journal. It will be in the current journal, which is being printed right now, or will be printed this week, and has been on our e-news and on the website. So you should be familiar with that proposal. It's a way to recognize the media that is promoting our sports. And we need input from you eventually, if it passes, for media outlets to be recognized. The international programs, I want to add to what Tim has said. We have had a problem getting it launched because of the severe COVID restrictions in China. We originally met with our initial liaison in China, Will Wang from Shanghai. Shanghai has over 200 international baccalaureate schools, which are the schools we're targeting for membership and education and coaches and officials training. We met with a new representative in the last month from Beijing, which has a similar number of international baccalaureate schools. And it's very exciting to expand our mission across our borders, and we're hoping it can become a big part of NISCA in the future. Arvel is going to tell you a little bit about the coaches certification, the officials training that we're hoping to do once we get started. Restrictions are being lifted overseas, they're getting started, but it's still right now in the stage of laying the groundwork and the framework for getting it rolling, but it could be a really big part of NISCA. And it's not just China, we have Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, in the Middle East, and then there are the international baccalaureate program schools similar to our schools all over Europe. There are a number in Africa and also Australia. I mean, this could be huge. So more on that as it develops. The journal has been a lot of work, but it's been an awful lot of fun since I was given the opportunity to take that over 2 years ago. And I want to just give you an idea. When we send out the journal, we send it to the current membership list. So at the end of our membership year and the very first issue that goes out in the new membership year, those are our highest numbers. And then membership drops off, people are slow to renew, but we only send it to active members. As an example, the September-October issue this year, we sent to the full membership list, roughly 1,375 copies went out. November, December, 687 because our membership dropped. January, February, which you should have gotten the last couple of weeks, is back up to 779. And if I remember Brad's numbers right, we're standing at about 1,030 right now. So that'll be, it keeps going up. When people want free All-America fee, or when they want their AA fees waived, that's when they decide to join. One thing, a couple things about the journal, we've added some regular contributors, which I think is helping the content quality. And Greg mentioned the two books we have, The Coach's Guide and The Biology of Swimming, which are incredible books from Carl Hamouche. He is a medical doctor. He's a radiologist currently in Wichita. And he has given us free rein to publish anything in the journal from his books that we want to use. And he's giving NISCA members a great deal on the prices, and there's lots of stuff with Swim Smart, that banner over there, that can help younger coaches and even some of us older coaches too. Amy Schmidt, who swam at Stanford, she's a regular contributor. She has got a book on logbooks and journals for swimmers, but I've guided her into addressing the needs of coaches a little bit more, so she's also writing some stuff about motivation. Charlie Houlihan, who works for ASCA as a strength and conditioning consultant, is a regular contributor on strength training. We've just added Avery Adams of Charleston, South Carolina, as an additional strength training contributor. Dawn Weatherwax is our nutrition consultant. She's got an article in every journal on nutrition. We have curated material from the Wall Street Journal, I'm sorry, not the Wall Street Journal, from Brain Food and from the Daily Coach. They have websites, and you can, if you're getting the journal, you know what I'm talking about. And we've just added our friend Kevin Pierce, who is our education chair, and he's going to be allowing us to use material from his blog on leadership, and something that Arvel and I wanted to do a number of years ago with the Leadership Academy. Recently, we've put in the journal article about Ted Mullen and the Hour of Power, and in this current journal that's coming out, there will be an introduction from Tony Plummer and some information about the Hour of Power Relay, which is really something all of y'all should do. We're also adding regularly a bi-monthly full-page color motivational poster, which we hope you'll enjoy and maybe stick up on your bulletin board for your swimmers and so on. I will defer to Arvel's report to tell you more about the international programs, coaches education and official certification program. But a quick note about these IB schools. They're similar to US schools. They're English speaking, English understanding. In setting up these international programs, they will have to follow National Federation rules. They will have to have their officials and coaches certified. Arvel will address that. And ultimately, we hope to generate a top times list similar to our All-America list, but with similar rigorous standards. And maybe, I don't know if we're going to do it by country or region, but it's something that can really help promote high school swimming across the planet. And we're very hopeful about that. Any questions about any of these three items? Thank you very much.
Okay, we are going to transition in a moment to Arvel McElroy for outreach and marketing. But before the food goes cold, why don't we take a break, let everyone go up and get some food, and then we'll continue on.
I do remember he was, we need to have a audit. Into the check account of some of the old.
So this is still recording. Arvel, let me, while you guys are settling in with the food, Kyle Bedeloff. Kyle Bedeloff sent a report on the National Records and Archives that I neglected to read earlier. The National Record plaques have been sent on a timely basis. Since the last time we've met, we've had 2 new national records. So far, since the last convention, we have 2 new national records. One is from an independent school, one is from a public school. Both are in yard pools. Carmel High School broke the medley relay record, but has yet to turn in the application after repeated attempts. The National Federation has the paperwork, but NISCA does not. Kyle has been working with Chris Boone at the National Federation to unify records as much as possible. Chris is the Assistant Director of Publications and Communications. NFHS does not recognize meter records and will not differentiate between public and independent records at this time. The unification piece that he's working on is to take the fast times of both organizations and make it the NFHS record. Meaning, if our record is not in their books, they're going to try to get our record to be their record as well. They did find some errors and omissions that should be corrected by the next time the rules book is printed. So that is something I believe that is new, working with them. Kyle will continue to ask membership through web blasts and the journal to send any archive from their state meets that could be included in the archive files. These could include state meet programs, state meet results, state banquet honors, or whatever anyone thinks would be useful in the archives. He'll also be asking state delegates and zone directors to help with this. Kyle lists his address, and that is in the journal. So for the 2022-23 year, there are 10 national records submitted, 3 that are independent, 7 that are public, 8 that are in yard pools, 2 that are in meter pools, 8 that are girls, and 2 that are boys. And on the table over there are the current national records as well as a paper copy of the records that have been submitted. So it's right by the door there. And that is the National Records and Archive Report.
Following up on our discussions over the summer, did we rewrite the procedures for getting the national records to include the diving portion?
We have not, but we should. Because the national record for the diving portion is really the national record from the NISCA All-American Dive Selection. So it's really the highest recorded score ever at the dive weekend. And that should be recorded because there was an issue with a California person believing that the score at a state meet should be the national record. So that definitely should be done. Okay, now Arvel for marketing and outreach.
I'm going to talk about outreach first. I went to Colorado and did an outreach workshop, coaches workshop in September, and then spoke at the Campus Coaches Association meeting in November. Wrote curriculum and for that, for the workshops during the year. The National Federation of High Schools offered a course on inclusion that was a 4-week book study, and for coaches and sponsors of organizations under the National Federation umbrella that signed up for it, they sent the book for free. So I thought as part of outreach, I probably should do that. So we talked about 8 ways to support diversity equity and inclusion for all. That will be included in the leadership materials that we're doing for the workshop. For marketing, Don alluded to this. We have a new sponsor that, after about 8 months of negotiations, Clean Entries, which is the eDive for most of us, we know that, has signed an agreement with us, and members will be getting a discount for eDive the first time they subscribe for eDive. Have had several companies contact us about advertising in the Journal or on eBlast, and we're working on those. My recommendation would be that we kind of expand the marketing. There's only so much that I can do because of the connections that I have, to maybe form a committee of people that have a little bit more connection with some of the businesses. We did talk yesterday with our membership chair about looking and reaching out to Arena. We have done that with all of the major swimsuit companies over the years, but that's been rather frustrating recently because they all say they have no money for anything. They want us to give them a lot of things, but they don't want to give us a whole lot in return. We do have our big sponsors, obviously. I want to, IST is our biggest sponsor, and I want to recognize them and thank them for all that they do. Another one is Hasty Awards that provides all of our awards for us, the national records, our coaches awards, and so forth. Swim Smart was already mentioned. Eve has my copies of the books that he has written. I would highly recommend The Biology of Swimming for those of you that can handle any kind of scientific information, because it goes through every stroke. It goes through nutrition. It goes through things that you should be doing as far as the muscles. Every illustration in the book is hand-drawn by him. He is a medical doctor, and he has a swimming background and coaching background, so that's where that's coming from. I want to point out that Fenice has been very, very active with us in supporting the outreach programs. They will allow us to do 2 of those a year, where they will provide about $100 worth of equipment to the attendees, and then in return we give them the name and they go on their preferred business partners program. They are offering you, for attending this conference, a 30% discount if ordered by March 31st of anything on their site. And the code will be out here on the table. It actually is NISCA 30 for the 30% discount, but they're offering that to you for coming here. John wanted to be here, but he had some problems rearranging his schedule with some meetings that he had. And then coming from California, it was cost prohibitive for him to come here. They also have the newest materials. They just released a brand new tech suit, and they have a sizing guide here for that with all of their materials that go with the suit. So they'll be out on the table for you to peruse as well. Dana alluded to the international, and nothing really has happened with that other than the development of curriculum to certify coaches. That includes a rules test designed for them over the rule book. And then I don't know how many of you have ever had to do the rules test from the National Federation. They do develop one every year. We in Kansas are required to take it every year as coaches. They've never required the officials to take it, but the Kansas coaches have to take it. The head coaches do. But it's it's a 50 question test, or sometimes a 100 question test over the rule book. But we designed and wrote a test for the officials. We also have developed the 5 levels of certification. I'm going to go back now and writing, because of some reading that I'm doing on leadership, that there's a lot that needs to be done to explain to those coaches how to develop leadership, or what leadership is for their athletes or their assistant coaches and so forth. So that's kind of that. Do you want me to do education while the meeting yesterday, or is that later?
We kind of already covered.
Yeah, I don't, unless we have a report like from the last, I think we're good.
Okay. Any questions?
Okay, so we've got two more reports. Brad Jones has offered to give a report on the PowerPoint program for Michael McHugh.
Michael just texted me, he was unable to be here, school complications, but he did say that we have, just over 40 entries that have come in, the majority in February, when he said, it's still early, the state is just wrapping up in Michigan and some of the other states, but, so far, the numbers are coming in and doing well.
Thank you. And the final report would be Eve Julian with the webmaster.
All right, so this year, I kept the website up to date. I posted on social media 3 times a week. We did not have any significant crashes or interruptions. The current web host has been really great at responding to issues. It actually, the website, I don't know if you noticed, went down yesterday morning for about half an hour. As soon as I figured it out, I reached out to the host and they apologized and had it right back up again within 10 minutes of me reaching out via email. So they are doing a great job. The website this year had 52,000 visitors, which was up 4,000 users from last year. Our most popular pages, All-America Swimming, All-America Diving, the awards landing page, which is basically where I send everybody when we're sending out newsletters, the AA time standards, and the academic page. And then we have an average of 255 active users per day, but we get really big spikes in like early June as people are starting to finish putting in their All-America applications. We have a big spike in July when the All-America comes out. And then we have smaller spikes in around this time of year, March to April, as people get in their winter season applications. Visitors are about the same as last year, demographics-wise, 46% female, 56% male, 61% of our visitors fall in the 18 to 34 age range. On social media, which I am also in charge of, the NISCA Facebook page, which is more information than anything else, has 912 followers. The high school coaches exchange group has 2,339 members, which is up quite a bit from last year. Twitter, we have 895 followers, and Instagram, we have 625 followers. I am always looking for more content to put on both the website and the social media. So make sure that you are part of the Facebook group. Keep an eye on it because there are some new coaches in there that ask some really great questions, and it's great for them to have 17 different answers to choose from. And if you have pictures of your team, or we talked yesterday about doing like a workout Wednesday. If you've got a great workout that you would like to post, you can either put it on your own Instagram page and tag us in it so that I can repost it. Or if you don't know how to do that, take a picture and send it to me and I'll put it up on the Instagram page. I post usually on Monday. I put together our content for the week, but it's really easy for me to just pop one up there whenever I get it. So the more content you can send me, the better, because otherwise it all comes out of my brain, and my brain is not really great for generating content. I got other things going on. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Webmaster.
Okay, thank you, Eve, and thanks for all the officer reports. That concludes the officer reports. We're in an odd year, so that means that there is elections for president-elect and for treasurer. So the next order of business is to open the floor for nominations for president-elect.
I nominate Kyle Bedloff from Wisconsin.
Second.
Arvel McElroy motion to nominate Kyle Bedlove, and Dana Abbott seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have a motion to close the floor for nominations for president-elect? Peter Hugo.
Second.
Peter Hugo motioned and Mark Jetto motioned to close. Okay, at this time, we open the floor for nominations for treasurer. Dana Abbott.
I'll defer to Mr. Boyce.
I nominate Tim Steroid.
Second.
Tom motioned and Don seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have a motion to close the floor for nominations? Mark Onstadt and Phil Emery. That concludes the business that needs to be conducted this morning. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Arvo motions.
Second.
Phil seconds. This meeting is adjourned. Okay.